In Phnom Penh, power never truly sleeps. The streets glow under the soft hum of government motorcades, and the mirrored towers of Prince Group shimmer above the city like monuments to modern success. But behind that reflection lies an alliance that reshaped a nation, an unspoken pact between Chen Zhi, the billionaire businessman, and Hun Sen, the prime minister who ruled Cambodia for nearly 4 decades. One brought wealth, the other offered protection. Together, they built what many now call a scam state, disguised as a country. To the outside world, it looked like progress. New bridges, luxury hotels, and economic zones funded by so-called foreign investment. But beneath the marble and the speeches, something darker took root. A state that traded integrity for influence, where corruption wasn't the exception, it was the system. Chen Zhi's Prince Empire became the financial engine, while Hun Sen's government became the shield that kept it untouchable. Their friendship wasn't built on trust, but on leverage. Chen Zhi needed legitimacy, Hun Sen needed money. And as the two men smiled for cameras, entire cities turned into digital cages, powered by scams, slavery, and silence. Because when corruption becomes friendship, justice disappears, and the line between business and government no longer exists. When Chen Zhi arrived in Cambodia in the early 2010s, the country was already a kingdom of one man, Hun Sen, the prime minister who ruled for more than 38 years, longer than most dictators in modern history. Cambodia's economy was growing, but its institutions were hollow. What Hun Sen needed wasn't another ally. It was a financier, someone who could fill the country's empty skyline with the illusion of prosperity. And Chen Zhi, with his Chinese capital and connections to offshore investors, was the perfect answer. In just a few years, Prince Group became one of the most powerful conglomerates in Southeast Asia. Its projects spanned banking, real estate, aviation, insurance, and luxury resorts. Chen Zhi's companies poured money into Phnom Penh, Sihanoukville, and Kampong Speu, branding themselves as nation builders. Each groundbreaking ceremony was attended by government officials, royal family members, and Hun Sen himself. Every ribbon cutting was filmed, broadcast on national TV, and repeated across state media. Cambodia's propaganda machine began to merge with Chen Zhi's marketing department. For Hun Sen, this alliance was more than business. It was political insurance. The billionaire's empire offered a financial cushion for his regime, ensuring loyalty among ministers and elites. In return, Chen Zhi received citizenship, the honorary title Nik Oknha, and unrestricted access to the Cambodian inner circle. This wasn't just friendship, it was a transactional monarchy, a merger of power and profit. The Prince Group began funding national campaigns, COVID-19 vaccine drives, school donations, and housing projects. Every act of philanthropy strengthened Chen Zhi's influence while polishing Hun Sen's image as a benevolent leader. Together, they created a myth of progress, a story of a nation rising under their shared vision. But behind the photo ops, land was being seized, casinos mushroomed across provinces, and scam compounds quietly took over abandoned resorts. Hun Sen's control over the judiciary ensured no investigation ever reached Prince Group. Police raids were selectively staged, always missing the properties tied to Chen Zhi's network. In public, he was hailed as a national hero. In private, he was the guardian of illicit wealth. And through this alliance, Cambodia transformed into what analysts would later call a state run like a corporation, with Hun Sen as the CEO and Chen Zhi as the banker. By the mid-2020s, Chen Zhi had become the most influential foreign-born figure in Cambodian politics, surpassing ministers in access and authority. His signature appeared on charity plaques beside the Prime Minister's crest, blurring the line between government sponsorship and private enterprise. Their partnership wasn't accidental, it was strategic. Hun Sen offered stability, Chen Zhi offered legitimacy. One ruled through fear, the other through finance. Together, they built an empire that couldn't fail, because failure would expose them both. Behind closed doors in Phnom Penh, they often spoke of progress and peace. But outside, in Sihanoukville's ghost towers, the sound of progress was the clicking of keyboards, the rhythm of thousands forced to scam the world, protected by the silence of two men who owned everything. To understand how Chen Zhi and Hun Sen built the illusion of a thriving nation, one must first understand the machinery of propaganda. In Cambodia, news doesn't inform, it performs. The government owns or controls nearly every major television network, radio station, and newspaper, while the rest rely on state-approved advertising to survive. Into this environment stepped Prince Group, with billions in sponsorship money and a message ready to be sold. Cambodia is rising. From 2018 onward, Chen Zhi's public relations team worked hand in hand with Hun Sen's information ministry. They produced polished documentaries about national renewal, filmed at Prince-built schools, hospitals, and casinos. Journalists were flown to Sihanoukville, where they were shown innovation parks. In reality, half-empty compounds fenced off from the public. Cameras never turned toward the barbed wire. Instead, the footage showed ribbon cuttings, confetti, and smiling workers reading prepared lines about opportunity. The partnership created a loop of legitimacy. When Hun Sen needed proof of economic growth, he pointed to Prince Group's skyscrapers. When Chen Zhi needed protection, he pointed to Hun Sen's speeches, praising him as a visionary investor. In the eyes of the people, both men appeared indispensable, one the builder, the other the protector. Together, they fed an image of mutual prosperity. Even as poverty deepened, freedom shrank, and foreign debt skyrocketed. The regime's state-run media glorified Chen Zhi's donations: $3 million for COVID-19 relief, $6 million for education funds, and countless gifts to the Cambodian Red Cross, led by Hun Sen's wife, Bun Rani. Every act of charity became a televised event, choreographed with music and banners reading, "Thank you, Prince Group." Behind each smiling photograph lay a web of kickbacks, tax exemptions, and land deals. Foreign journalists who tried to expose this arrangement found themselves harassed, detained, or deported. In 2021, two reporters investigating Prince real estate in Sihanoukville were forced out of the country after their footage was seized. The Ministry of Information called them agents of foreign destabilization. The message was clear: truth was treason. Meanwhile, social media campaigns flooded Facebook and Telegram with ads praising Chen Zhi's commitment to Cambodia's people. Dozens of accounts, many traced to Prince Group's marketing team, coordinated to amplify Hun Sen's speeches, merging political power with corporate influence. The result was a new kind of propaganda: the corporate state. Behind the scenes, Prince Group also invested heavily in education, sponsoring scholarships that required recipients to publicly thank Hun Sen. University campuses displayed murals of both men side by side under slogans like "Building Cambodia Together." For a generation growing up under censorship, the distinction between state and company blurred completely. But the truth could not be hidden forever. By 2023, the cracks began to show. Sihanoukville, once advertised as a smart city, had turned into a digital prison zone. Videos leaked online showing foreigners begging for rescue, trapped inside compounds owned by shell companies connected to Prince-linked developers. Instead of investigating, state television aired documentaries accusing Western media of spreading lies. As scandal reports grew, Hun Sen's regime doubled down on its narrative. He appeared on live TV beside Chen Zhi, declaring, Foreign jealousy cannot destroy Cambodian success. The two men stood side by side, smiling under the studio lights, while just miles away, hundreds remained locked inside rooms built with their money. It was the perfect illusion, a paradise filmed from the right angle. Every tower, every speech, every headline was part of the same design: to turn deception into progress and make a nation believe that exploitation was patriotism. Because when prosperity becomes propaganda, truth is no longer necessary, only applause. Every regime built on corruption needs a financial bloodstream, and for Hun Sen's Cambodia, that artery was Prince Group. Through an intricate web of subsidiaries, shell companies, and charitable fronts, Chen Zhi constructed what investigators now call the money pipeline, a system that moved billions of dollars across borders while appearing completely legitimate. At the surface, Prince Bank, Prince Real Estate, and Prince Foundation seemed like ordinary enterprises. But documents obtained by anti-corruption analysts painted a darker reality. The same bank accounts used to fund charity projects were also used to move cash from casinos, real estate flips, and digital scam compounds. Money flowed from Sihanoukville's casinos and Phnom Penh's luxury towers through Prince-linked investment vehicles in Hong Kong, Singapore, and Macau, before reappearing as philanthropic donations in Cambodia. The genius of the system was its simplicity. Each transaction carried a moral disguise: housing development, school construction, or disaster relief. In truth, the numbers never added up. A $40 million project in Kampong Speu had no construction site. A $12 million hospital listed under Prince Foundation existed only on paper. The funds traveled full circle, returning to Prince's offshore accounts after passing through state-approved contracts signed by ministries under Hun Sen's control. The symbiosis between the two men was absolute. Hun Sen's government provided legal immunity, ensuring that Prince subsidiaries faced no tax audits, no labor inspections, no AML investigations. In return, Chen Zhi funneled money to the regime's social causes: the Cambodian Red Cross, military pension funds, and political campaigns under the banner of national unity. Every dollar bought another ounce of silence. According to a 2024 intelligence memo shared among Western financial regulators, investigators traced more than $1 billion in suspicious transfers linked to Prince Group subsidiaries over a 3-year span. These funds were laundered through real estate sales, cryptocurrency transactions, and non-existent infrastructure contracts. Many of the transfers ended in private accounts tied to government officials and Hun Sen's family circle. One leaked email between two Prince executives summed up the logic perfectly. "Our donations are our protection. Every bridge we build buys us another year." The bridges weren't metaphors. In Phnom Penh, Prince Group built Hun Sen Boulevard, a massive road connecting new housing zones to government complexes, officially valued at $100 million. The contract was handed directly to a Prince construction firm without bidding. Within a year, the road's cost had doubled. When journalists questioned the discrepancy, a ministry spokesperson replied, "We are grateful for Prince's generosity." Meanwhile, Prince's casino portfolio acted as the front end of the laundering cycle. Profits from illegal online gambling, banned in 2019, continued under new licenses issued to hospitality companies. These companies were owned by Chen Zhi's proxies, many of whom also served as political donors to Hun Sen's party. The money from casino floors moved into Prince Bank, then through charity channels, emerging as public projects blessed by the Prime Minister himself. Every transaction strengthened the illusion of legitimacy. Hun Sen could point to skyscrapers and bridges as proof of progress, while Chen Zhi could claim his empire was nation-building. In reality, both were beneficiaries of the same corruption loop, a cycle where public praise replaced accountability. By 2025, the network was so intertwined that even foreign intelligence agencies described Cambodia as a corporate dictatorship. The regime didn't just tolerate financial crime, it industrialized it. The money pipeline became the true government, invisible, efficient, and loyal only to profit. And through it all, Chen Zhi's fortune grew, while Hun Sen's legacy solidified. One man controlled the banks, the other controlled the law. Together, they ensured that no investigation could ever drain the system, because as long as the pipeline flowed, power remained immune, and justice stayed bankrupt. Every empire built on corruption eventually faces exposure. But in Cambodia, exposure doesn't bring justice, it brings consequences. For over 3 decades, Hun Sen perfected the art of protection, building a political fortress around himself and those who financed him. When the world began asking questions about Chen Zhi and the Prince Group, that fortress went on high alert. The first line of defense was legal immunity. Under Hun Sen's rule, the judiciary, police, and anti-corruption units were effectively absorbed into the ruling party. Judges were appointed based on loyalty, not law. Whenever Prince Group appeared in investigative reports, whether for labor abuse, illegal gambling, or human trafficking, the cases vanished before reaching court. Prosecutors were quietly transferred, witnesses were intimidated, and documents disappeared from ministry archives. In Cambodia, truth has no paper trail. By 2022, as international media exposed scam compounds in Sihanoukville and Tre Thom, Chen Zhi's name began surfacing in connection to land leases, construction permits, and security contracts. Instead of accountability, Hun Sen's government launched a counterattack, accusing journalists of slandering Cambodia's economic miracle. State-run outlets published glowing editorials defending Prince Group as a model investor. Behind the scenes, police visited reporters, warning them to stop damaging national harmony. Foreign diplomats also faced the machine. When US officials requested cooperation under anti-trafficking agreements, Cambodian ministries delayed responses for months. The National Police, under Hun Sen's direct supervision, provided edited reports showing no connection between Prince subsidiaries and the compounds. These weren't investigations, they were cover-ups in uniform. According to a leaked Interpol communication, one Cambodian official admitted that Prince money built our infrastructure. We can't tear down the foundation. That was the unspoken rule. Whoever pays for the kingdom rules it. The intimidation extended beyond journalists. Whistleblowers, NGO workers, and even local police officers who spoke out against Prince-linked operations found themselves reassigned, arrested, or worse. In 2023, a former customs officer who reported suspicious shipments linked to Prince logistics died in what authorities called a traffic accident. His family never saw the autopsy report. Another mid-level police investigator disappeared after filing an internal memo about foreign syndicates protected by political elites. Hun Sen's political police, the ACAD, Anti-Cybercrime Department, became the blunt instrument of control. Ironically, the same unit tasked with investigating online fraud was staffed by officers who received training funds from Prince Foundation. They raided small scam groups to appease international pressure, but ignored the compounds tied to elite investors. It was a theater of enforcement, justice scripted for television. Even after the US Treasury began probing Cambodia's financial institutions in 2024, Prince Bank remained untouched. The reason was simple. The bank handled transactions for government ministries, including the Council of Ministers and National Defense accounts. Any attempt to sanction it would have paralyzed the state. Hun Sen made sure the nation's survival depended on its corruption, a symbiotic trap no outsider could dismantle. When foreign correspondents asked Hun Sen directly about Chen Zhi, his response was theatrical. If he broke the law, show me the evidence. The statement drew applause on national TV, but everyone in the room knew what he meant. There is no evidence if I choose not to see it. In Cambodia, silence isn't fear, it's currency. Prince Group paid in millions. Hun Sen repaid in protection. The result was a regime so tightly sealed that even international sanctions couldn't pierce it without collapsing the entire system. By 2025, Chen Zhi was untouchable. His empire didn't exist because of luck. It existed because power guaranteed his immunity. And every person who tried to challenge it learned the same lesson. In Cambodia, corruption doesn't hide from justice, it commands it. For years, Hun Sen and Chen Zhi had sold the same dream, a narrative of progress, stability, and prosperity that dazzled the world while hiding the machinery of deceit beneath. But in October 2025, that illusion finally cracked. The US Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, issued one of its most sweeping sanctions packages in Southeast Asia, targeting 146 individuals and entities, with Chen Zhi and the Prince Group at its core. The official statement accused them of facilitating transnational organized crime, cyber fraud, and human trafficking. The announcement hit Phnom Penh like a detonation. For the first time, the global stage named the untouchable billionaire as a criminal enabler. Within hours, Prince Bank's international transfers were frozen. Offshore partners in Singapore, Hong Kong, and Dubai suspended cooperation. Western media flooded screens with images of Chen Zhi shaking hands with Hun Sen, captions reading, "The alliance behind Cambodia's scam state." And the government's reaction was predictable and rehearsed. Hun Sen's spokesman dismissed the sanctions as a foreign conspiracy to undermine Cambodia's sovereignty. State TV aired footage of Prince Foundation's charity events, overlaying soft music and slogans like "Building Hope Together." Meanwhile, online campaigns paid by Prince Media labeled Western journalists as agents of chaos. It was the same old propaganda, only this time the world had stopped believing it. Inside the halls of power, panic spread quietly. Ministers, governors, and military officers with financial ties to Prince subsidiaries scrambled to move their assets, but the international dragnet had already begun. Investigators uncovered links between Prince-linked front companies and accounts belonging to Hun Sen's family circle, including several controlled by his eldest son, Hun Manet, the newly appointed prime minister. The dynasty was intact, the faces changed, but the system remained the same. Behind closed doors, Chen Zhi vanished from public view. His office in Prince Tower was sealed, his name removed from official websites. Yet insiders claimed he continued operating through proxies and offshore trusts, shifting funds into safe havens before regulators could trace them. One diplomat described the scene bluntly. The billionaire disappeared, but his money didn't. International pressure grew, but inside Cambodia, nothing moved. Hun Sen's political network, now fronted by Hun Manet, maintained the same alliances, the same protection rackets, and the same silence. The scam compounds continued running under new ownership, their signs replaced, their staff recycled. The system had simply adapted, proof that corruption wasn't broken by exposure, it was reinforced by it. By the end of 2025, the world saw through the facade, but Cambodia didn't. The towers still glowed at night, the press still smiled, and the government still preached about national pride. Yet beneath the glass and gold, a deeper truth endured. An empire built on fraud can survive anything except honesty. The fall of Chen Zhi was never meant to destroy the scam state, it was meant to preserve it. And as long as the billionaire and the prime minister needed each other, Cambodia's future would remain hostage to their past. At dawn in Phnom Penh, the golden spires of government buildings glimmer against the polluted haze. On the surface, Cambodia looks calm, but calm is only another form of control. The alliance between Chen Zhi and Hun Sen reshaped not just the economy, but the very definition of loyalty. For decades, loyalty meant obedience, prosperity meant silence, and justice was whatever the powerful allowed to exist. Even as sanctions mount and foreign headlines fade, the scam state they built endures, polished, disciplined, and profitable. Prince Group remains the symbol of Cambodia's development, its name etched into hospitals, schools, and highways. And though Chen Zhi has vanished from cameras, his influence survives in every contract, every handshake, every speech about national growth. Hun Sen's legacy, now carried by Hun Manet, continues the same cycle: money for protection, loyalty for immunity. But every alliance has a cost. For the people trapped inside this system, the workers, the victims, the nameless thousands behind those mirrored towers, the price of loyalty was freedom. They paid it so that two men could rule without consequence. Because in the end, the billionaire and the prime minister didn't just build a nation, they built a mirror, one that reflects power, wealth, and fear in perfect symmetry. And when corruption becomes friendship, truth no longer survives the reflection. In Phnom Penh, power never truly sleeps. The street